Hi, Peter Surridge here. Quick video just talking about keeping your website secure. It's one of the most common questions I get asked, especially if someone's had a virus or some kind of hacking attempt on their website. So a few tips. Firstly, updates. Make sure that your WordPress version and your plugins and theme is all kept up to date on a regular basis. Make sure you've got the latest versions. Sometimes things need to change to keep compatible. So when you do apply your updates, make sure that you check your website thoroughly to make sure it hasn't caused any problems. Next one is about passwords. Make sure that your password is of a high quality. Don't just use something as simple as your name and a few numbers. Make it complex and make sure that you change it on a regular basis. In the same line, manage who has access to your website. If you have people, multiple people with access to your website, especially with admin level access, and they're no longer working with you, make sure you remove or disable their accounts. You don't want to have access to your website from people who may cause damage to your website, even unintentionally, so make sure they are removed. Also check to see who has admin level access to your website. Do they really need admin level, or could they just be editors so they can manage the content? So be careful about who you give access to. Hosting. Make sure you're on a good quality host. A lot of the big suppliers will update their server and keep their server in tip-top condition. But you do need to make sure that you trust your hosting supplier, because that's your website, and if that goes down, your website's down. One of the warning signs to watch out for is if you get any warnings about PHP version. So if your website is running on an old PHP version, it may be that your server's not being maintained. Okay. Next one is about plugins. So when you're using plugins, make sure that you choose a reputable plugin. So if you're installing it, check when it was last updated. Maybe check how many reviews it's got. Check on the feedback that's had from that on that plugin. Once you have installed it, don't just forget about it. Like I said before, make sure that you update it on a regular basis, and also keep an eye on it. Sometimes plugins go out of support, or they're no longer supported by the developer. If that happens, sometimes they become a bit more vulnerable. So it is worthwhile checking on your plugins to make sure they're still being updated on a regular basis. Next one is to make sure you always take a backup. It's something I harp on about a lot, but if you haven't got a backup of your website, and it does break, and websites do break, especially when you're applying updates, if you haven't got a backup, then you are vulnerable. Your host may be taking backups, but I wouldn't rely on that. I would be tempted to put in one of the many plugins that you can use, like Updraft Plus, Backup Buddy, so on, and just take your own backup. And especially if you are going to apply updates, just take a backup before you do it, so that you know you can roll it back if you need to. And the last one I'm going to mention is the SSL certificate. The SSL certificate relates to the little padlock that goes beside your website URL. If you haven't got that, a lot of the browsers now are giving messages saying not secure or something like that, or giving messages out to the customers saying that this your website may be trying to attack their data. So it's worthwhile having an SSL certificate. The rules around them have changed a lot this year, and a lot of hosts are able to provide free SSL certificates with your website. So if you're not sure about that and you haven't got an SSL certificate, have a chat with your host provider and get an SSL certificate on there to protect yourself. Okay, that's all for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions about website security, feel free to drop me an email or a contact from my website, or give me a call anytime. Thanks for your time.